Good afternoon, everybody. I bet that surprised you because we still haven't fixed our intro yet. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do there, Louise. It doesn't work. iOS 18, it's not good.
You'll have to do a little bit of research, won't you?
I will.
Oh,
There we go. There.
did yeah.
Auto. There we go. Got a nice bit of a globe coming behind you there. We just move that over a bit to get a nice even glow behind you. A little halo around you, Louise. The angel that you are. Happy Monday, everybody. Yes, indeed. How's everyone doing today? Good. Anything to report, Louise, at all?
No,
You were down the schedule last night, yesterday.
I was, yeah.
You were doing some more wax carving.
Well, I was going to recreate my heart bomb ring and facet it, like
Yes.
I said last week. But
Yes.
And I thought, a few strategically placed flats.
Yes.
How hard can it be?
Yes.
Turns out it's quite hard. So I've just got another bomb ring now because I smoothed it all out. So here we are.
Tell you what you could do. You could have it. You could just have a little plain slab of wax and just do the outline and just concentrate on getting the slab.
Yeah,
And
I
a
see
little
what
bit
you
of
mean.
facet. And then when you're happy with that, attach it then to the tubing.
Well, that is what I see what you mean. Okay, yeah.
So if you make a mistake, it's just that little square bit of wax and not the whole ring.
Yeah, because it took me about, I don't know, 30 minutes to get the size right and the shank. Yeah, so that.
And if people don't know what we're on about, Louise wants to do a heart shape like that, but she wants to have like facets filed on this heart that is three-dimensional. So you had, you looked online, didn't you? And there was like a heart that was sort of that shape, wasn't it? Something, it was
and you've done
angular.
that like that, but it was even harder to try and file that.
And that came down to there, that came down to there. Did that come across to there? That went across like to there? And that went to there,
It wasn't even
and
that
like
complex. It was literally... Shall I show you? Do you want me to show you?
Go on, yeah.
I'll tell you what. I don't know. This could be completely wrong now. I could show myself up, but
And
it was
there
like
facets, weren't there?
Oh, not with a Sharpie. Okay. It was dirt, that,
Yes.
that,
Yes.
that.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
And then that went like that. That went like that. That went like that. That. That.
And there was a shape in the middle.
And then there was, I don't know what the shape in the middle was like now. Something like that. It was some.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. It should have been so simple.
Yes. Yes. And they were going to be like file flat, file flat, file flat, file flat, like that. That was the idea. That's what Louise is working on.
But I can't even draw it, so I've got no hope of I.
Just get a nice picture, as I said. Print it onto a label, stick the label on it,
Yes.
and then like do the little pin pricks along it to get the lines.
Okay.
And then you can get them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or,
So
yeah.
that's what Louise is working on anyway at the moment.
It's that, those things and you think, I think I can do that. That looks not easy, but I think I can do it. And then you start it and you realise it's not as easy as what you thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you think... And I was like,
Easy.
that'll be it.
That's going to be so easy. But it never is.
Someone says persevere. I will, because it is
practice.
worth doing, because I think it'll look really nice.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is just practice. That's all it is, isn't it? At the
Yeah.
end of the day. Good. The one thing that I want to mention is that Louise and I are going to be over in Italy from Friday until Tuesday of this week and next week. Is the Vicenza Oro show, the jewellery show, and also T-Gold, Technology Gold. We are going to be over there. We're going to be walking the halls. We're going to be doing some lives. We're going to be doing some live streaming. We are going to be on the Durston stand Sunday and Monday. Apparently those are the busiest days. I don't think, but that's what we all been requested. So Sunday and Monday, we're going to be on the Durston tool stand, Vicenza Oro, Hall 9 booth, because they call them booths, 58. So if you happen to be in Vicenza and just at the Vicenza Oro trade show. We're going to be there Sunday and Monday. If you want to get hold of us, you know the usual ways you can get hold of us. I'm sure social media. We're going to be walking the rest of the fine jewellery halls the 2 days prior to that. And based upon last year, amazing. But after a day or so of looking at all these diamond rings and diamond jewellery, you get a bit of, you see the next one, you go, yeah, I've seen that before. Do you find that?
No, I love it.
Okay, fair enough then. And hopefully we won't get ripped off with the food, because we went to the food. You've been learning Italian apparently, Louise.
Oh no, I just started yesterday and we're going in a few days. I can say buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Buonasera.
Buonasera. Really?
Yeah,
Buonasera?
that's it. Yes,
Okay,
I think so.
yeah.
I've got an app and everything.
Come sta?
Come sta?
Bene, grazie.
Yeah. I mean bene. Bene.
What else can you do?
Oh, you put me on the spot now. I was going to practice tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
I don't know.
You practiced for half an hour yesterday. You learned the basics, which is great. Come sta?
The thing is, I can do it, and I can do it then for 5 minutes, and I might be able to do it an hour later. Ask me a day later, no chance. I don't know why, and I never used to be. I used to be able to retain information better.
Oh, I know. I find
but
that
I think
terrible.
languages now, like when I was in school, I didn't have a flair for languages, but I did learn. I remember a little bit of French, and obviously I can speak a bit of Welsh. But now, just like poof, and then we got on to he is. She is Lay.
Lay, yeah.
Louis is he.
Yes.
Him, he. Voi is us.
Mm-hmm.
Noi is them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, but
Good,
that's not really going to
good.
help me on its own, is it?
So when you go to order some food, you go Conte
I'll
Costa?
just point to what I want, and it's embarrassing. This is the
that one place we went into in the jewellery hall. We did not know what to order, and people were having these lovely meals, and we did not know how to get those meals. And we had this most boring little bit of lettuce and salad for like €20, and you think, oh my gosh. So,
but I was so ashamed of myself for not knowing any Italian. I vowed to learn. But years elapsed, and I don't know how. When the lady who runs the B&B that we stayed at last year, I said, I'm going to come back and I said, I'm going to speak Italian to you. And she was just like, she did that. And lo and behold.
Yeah, at least to be able to greet her.
And then she's going to say something that happened to me in Spain. A Spanish woman started talking to me, and I said, I'm sorry. I really speak any Spanish, little bits. And then we got up to go, and it was New Year's Eve, and I said, I can't even remember what that was. And I Googled it on my phone so I could say it when we got up to leave, and I said
Happy New Year.
She had my arm, she started again then, and I was just like, I think it's because I was going like that. So I didn't want to seem rude, that she just carried on, and I was just like, oh no. Anyway, we're digressing now. Should we answer some questions?
So anyway, so if you're in Vicenza or you want to come and see us, message us. They are there. And if you want to come and see the Durston tool stand, I've no idea what Matthew's taking. It's a reasonable size stand. We're going to be there Sunday and the Monday, Hall 9. Booth 8, that's at the Tea Gold, okay? So if you want to come and see us, please do. We do get people coming along, having a chat, having photographs taken, so if you are around, please do come and see us. We would absolutely love you too. Let's have a question, Louise.
Good.
What day is it today? 16th?
Today is the
12th. 13th of January, 4 p.m. Let's have another question, Louise, please. Thank you.
Okay. Question. Stuart, I want to make an ear stud with a tube setting for a 2mm sapphire. Would Andrew set the stone, then solder the back plate and ear post, or create the assembly first, then set the stone?
Tube set. Is it tube set?
Tube set.
No, I would create the whole thing. Get your tube in. Put it upon the back plate, there's your back plate, and then solder the post onto that. Do it all, finish it all, polish it all, then get your thermolock, warm it up. The trick with Thermolock is that it's very difficult to get the whole block of Thermolock soft enough to push anything with depth in. So if you've got a block of Thermolock, get a drill a hole for the middle. Your stem can go down in that hole without it actually having to be even warm. Then warm it up. If you've got it on a wooden block, brilliant, you can put it in the microwave. If you've got it attached to steel or in a steel or aluminium cup that goes in the GRS, you will not be able to put it in the microwave, but put it in a cup of hot water. Even if you just manage to soften the top 2 or 3 millimeters, you still should be able to put your tubing into it, Thermolock around it, build up the Thermolock on all around the sides. Then what you can do, then you can use a straight sided setting burr, go into the tubing and set it. The problem is if you try and say set the stone and then solder the back plate on and the ear post on, there's a chance that you're going to damage the stone. Sapphires will become damaged with heat. You don't know whether they've been fracture filmed, whether they've been treated. If there's any inclusions in it, there's a chance they're going to break. So always complete the components, the mounting first, before you set the stones. Yes, Louise.
Good. Helena says, has anyone set tanzanites in UV setting resin?
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah, if anybody can help Helena out with that in the chat, please do. So he says, my oxygen tank pressure regulator makes clicking noises. I've checked for leaks. There are none. Should I be concerned?
I think with a pressure regulator, is it the needle that's clicking? Because sometimes the needle will stick, although the needle doesn't really move an awful lot. It obviously moves when you turn the tank on. It'll move up to the pressure in the tank, so perhaps you may need a little bit of oil just on the little pivot that indicator is on. But if in any doubt on anything to do with gas or anything to do with air, if you're not sure, replace it with a new one, because should anything happen, well, you can't put a price on it basically. Compressed air is literally more dangerous than gas, than propane. So please take good care. I would replace it for the cost of what's going to be a regulator and gauges. £30, £40, £50. That's nothing compared to the damage that a tank could do. But yeah, so I would definitely get that checked. A little bit of oil. If the needle still sticks and so forth, just replace it. Don't go tinkering or anything like that. Replace it with a brand new one. Yes.
Good. Okay. Donald is saying, any luck with instructions for the classic torch?
No.
No response from Durst.
No. Can you jot that down for me? I will make sure that we get some instructions. I had actually forgotten, but what I told you last time, I think, Donald, when it came to the torches, I'm not quite sure what else would be in the instructions. Is the fact that you basically turn the torch on full, you release the lock, you turn the gas on and then ignite it. Don't try and, I'm not quite sure whether you could do it the other way around. But yeah, I will double check. I will message them tonight and I'll get some instructions over to you. I promise, definitely will. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes,
Anthony's learned all of my Italian from watching Montebano. David, I've been using Duolingo for 2 years to learn German. Cool. I can now read some and understand some, but I can't speak it at all. I just get kind of like a bit nervous.
Yours was good.
I think it's better to just do it, isn't it? And if you say it wrong or it's not perfect, I don't think it really matters. It does matter. Obviously, you want to speak it correctly, but yes, it's better to... I feel more embarrassed not knowing anything than... But
I think the pleasantries are important. Please, thank you, hello,
yeah,
how are you?
Hopefully that goes a little bit of a way.
Yes, and vino.
Vino Blanco? Jill says, tell them piccolo Italiano, which means a little bit. Minusculo piccolo Italiano. Like, that's it.
None.
Yeah, I'm spent.
That's why we say in that restaurant we go to, first thing we go, English.
And I bet they go,
here we go again.
Just point to what you want.
Don't have the polenta next time. Remember that? that block of polenta.
Oh, it wasn't what we thought, was it?
It was a block.
It was nice.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Joe says, after 2 years of working with silver, I'm looking to move into using yellow and red 9 gold accents under 1 gram on silver. Any general advice, please? Do I need separate soldering areas, tools? I will say the gold accents can be under 1 gram, but if the whole piece is over 1 gram, even if the gold aspect is under 1 gram, if you've got gold or red gold on there and the whole thing, including the silver, weighs over 1 gram, you would still have to hallmark it.
You do. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, just, I'm sure you know that.
Because even though if it's on silver, it's
just in case anybody else doesn't.
It's 7.78 grams, but as soon as you add a metal of the higher carat, whatever, to the lower, the minimum weight applies to the whole piece. So as you say, if you add gold to it, if it's over 1 gram, even though it's silver,
you could add 0.5 gram of gold, but if the piece is 1.5 grams, it needs hallmarking.
Yes.
Yeah, because of the gold element that's on there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, no.
Sorry to butt in.
No, it's absolutely fine. But from what the question was, if it's under 1 gram, you don't have to have it hallmarked. But if it's on a metal, even though it's lower, it's got to be done. The question was...
Sorry, the question was, any general advice, do I need separate soldering areas, tools to solder?
It's the same flux, it's the same everything. You can use the same block, you can use the same files. If you are a little bit... and you've got a lot of silver, say you've got a file like this one here, and this one is quite a bit of... Let's come down this one, here we go. So with this one, there's quite a bit of sort of silver in this file. Let's have a look at this file. Here we go. Here we go. We got this bits of copper. You can see there's this little bits of copper trapped in this file. Pretend that's silver, okay? And you want to use this file on gold. You don't want to transfer whatever metal is trapped in this file. Grab yourself, it doesn't matter whether it's a little bit of copper, a little bit of silver, and you will see that the file has grooves. As you can see, there are slight grooves running in this direction. So grab your edge of your metal, which way is it? This way actually, and you just push along in the direction of those grooves, and that will push out all the little bits of filings out of the file. That's actually quite thin, so I wouldn't necessarily use that. I would get something a little bit thicker. It doesn't matter what it is, it can be an old bit of copper, but push along in the direction of those grooves and all the little bits will come out of the file, and then you can happily use that file then on gold. It doesn't matter too much, but if there's a lot of debris caught in the file, try and take it out using that method. Yes, I would then use a little bit of gold solder to solder that embellishment onto the metal. I would use gold solder as opposed to silver solder, because if the silver solder happens to run over the whole embellishment, it'll turn it silver, and then you've got to try and get that little bit of solder off the gold. So I would use a tiny little bit of gold solder. Apart from that, it's exactly the same. No special treatment. You're going to be a little bit, your heart's going to be pounding a little bit more so because it's gold and it's more expensive than the silver. But no, don't let it worry you. It's exactly the same. You get the same reaction with the color of the metal when it comes to solder. The solder will react the same way as the silver solder, and the flux is exactly the same. So yeah, you should have no worries at all.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Ellen, I signed up as a full At the Bench member just before New Year. Oh, cool. Tried to answer in the forum. Get thanks for contributing, but looks like my posts and comments just disappear.
Oh, okay.
Isn't it compatible with Android?
It should be, yeah.
I will check that out, Ellen.
Yeah. And if you want sort of direct help from myself, you can always go up onto the bar across the top. You can click on contact and open a ticket.
Yeah, but Ellen's trying to answer
somebody.
Yeah, just contribute, and it's nothing.
Right, okay.
But sorry, that is a thing as well.
I see no reason why not. No, I see no reason why. A lot of people don't really use the forum to its great potential. People just go on the Facebook usually to sort of do it that way. So the forum isn't used a heck of a lot.
It's a shame.
It is a shame. So I may consider just transferring everything over onto Facebook.
Facebook what?
Facebook at the bench page, which is what the idea we had originally, wasn't it?
I see.
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll have
But the forum can stay there, all the topics and all the information can be there, yes.
Yeah,
But we'll check that
it's
out.
a good resource, isn't it? So it'd be a shame. I mean, it needs to work for a start, because if it's not working, that's why that's why nobody's using it. Because, yeah, thank you, Ellen. We'll definitely
We'll double check that.
yeah, if you yeah, okay. I'll definitely check that out. Thank you. The lock only moves to the middle unless I'm not pushing hard enough. Oh, this is the torch, the Durston torch.
Oh, okay. The lock only moves to the middle unless I'm not. I'll have to have a look. I'll see if Matthew's got a torch over in Vicenza, and I'll have it. I don't have that classic torch. I've only got these ones here, so I don't have that one. But I'll certainly double check. Yes.
Okay. Google Translate will see you right. That's made me look a right fool in the past, isn't it? Really has let me down.
The translate function, when you were talking to it, or you had the woman, you were, oh, hang on, translate.
Because I did try.
Talk.
I did try and speak, and I talked into it, and it was like, and then I went like that, and she was like that. So, yeah, no, I was, yeah, anyway.
We'll perhaps we'll try it again.
Janet says, we could just learn the language, couldn't we? Janet says, have you any tips or tricks in making a spaghetti ring and putting in a tube setting within the wires? Cool.
No idea what a spaghetti ring is.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, and
like
and put tubes in them.
Tube setting in between the wires, like
a Boodles ring.
Is that a spaghetti ring?
There's, as in, because the tops come up and there's like a setting, there's a setting there, and the one comes up here, like that, isn't it?
Just like, yeah, so like thin wires joined with tubes in, yeah. Is that what you mean, Janet? That's what I've got in my mind's eye. Yeah.
I've made rings like that, but not a complete sort of round and round and round and round and round. You'd have to have some way of, excuse me, where the wires cross over, you're going to have some way of actually soldering them so they don't sort of move too much. You've got a drink there, Lou, please.
I've got fizzy pop, so we don't want to hear you burping down your mic if you have some of that. Can you speak Welsh? Tipping back a little bit.
Ooh.
When I was in school, everybody had to do GCSE Welsh.
Yeah,
and my sister is a Welsh speaker. Her degree is in Welsh, so my family, well, my sister particularly, and my mum got involved, so she learned Welsh. So yeah, my family are a little bit of family of Welsh activists. But I do speak it, not as much. I think if I looked into it again, I think I'd pick it up again really quickly, because I used to be able to speak it quite well. But it's like anything else, if you don't use
practice
it, then
you lose it.
That is right. Claire learned a bit of Greek after holidays, not being able to read the signs. I love it. Now I'm trying Korean. Oh wow!
Oh wow!
Good. I'll put the gas on and try to use the unlock and light it, but to no avail. Maybe it's. Is it new or newish? Because it may be that it needs to go back.
The lock, yeah. Should be able to open it all the way.
Yeah. It may be that there's something wrong with that particular.
Yeah, sounds bad. If you ring, it does sound like there's a problem. If you can't open it all the way, you should open all the way. I would suggest you ring up Durston, speak to Candice, and speak to her and say that we've suggested you send the torch back, basically. So I think Candice is like customer service or customer support. So contact her, say that I've suggested that you send the torch back, and basically look out for it, and they'll send you out a new one. That's what I would suggest you do, yeah.
Good. And Vaughan Green, I don't have Facebook, and Helena says not all of us are on Facebook, so the forum is still important to us. So it is quite important that we...
if it is, yeah.
Yeah, iron out any snags on there. If yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Is there such a thing as a splint ring?
We were talking about
this last week, and it's something that goes over a joint.
Yes, and keeps the joint stiff, straight. So yes.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at the images on the web.
I don't know what the benefits are of them.
It's something to do with arthritis. If your finger starts to try and do it with arthritis, it'll keep it straight.
Does it need to be kept straight then?
It'll stop it doing that. And then when you take it off, you should be able to still use it. I think it's to stop the finger doing that over time.
Oh, okay.
And then the finger then doesn't straighten.
Are there medical devices that do that though?
I don't know.
I just might be a bit wary about making something to sell to somebody as a device.
When you've got no...
Yeah, if you're going to make it as a
medical
I don't know
device.
anything about it, but if it's not a medical device, but it's sold medicinally, it just might need a little bit more looking into.
But they are available to buy on the web.
On the web?
On the net.
On the net.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, sorry. But yeah, I'm just the world's biggest, I'm Mrs. Health and Safety and Risk Assess, aren't I? So yeah, if anyone's going to mention that's going to be me. Good, yeah, they are a thing. Janet said it's like you described, round and round and crossing over, SD2, but there are gloves for arthritis. Yeah. Joan says, what is the difference in using the different colours of wax? I'm not saying don't make them, I'm just saying be careful and,
just be careful.
if you're selling them or supplying them as a medicinal aid.
Medical aid, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There might be issues. Sorry, Joan. What is the difference in using the different colours of wax? Is one easier to carve / get better results?
So, in fact, we were talking about this the other day. So, the blue wax is slightly flexible. There's a little bit of give in the blue wax. And as a result of that, because it's a little bit softer, it isn't as accurate, you can't get a fine detail with it. The green wax is predominantly hard. It doesn't flex, there's no flexibility in it, but it can take extremely good detail. Those are the only two waxes that you really need to know about. You can get things like injection waxes, you can get things like moldable wax, you can get wax that warms up like the tub of, what's it called? Molder wax.
Yeah, it's like a red.
Like a red one. So no, I think the blue and the green are pretty much the only ones that you really need to know about.
The molder wax is really useful.
Yes, it is.
But
yes.
I mean, I've got a huge big jar of it, but I've used it to make, I think it was leaves, like mistletoe leaves. And it was going to be for a project which got temporarily shelved.
Yes.
But it was, I think that's going to come back out actually this year.
Find my the other halves that we had. So yes, so yeah, blue, slightly flexible, doesn't take fine detail. Green, very hard, not flexible, but can take a good amount of detail. Yes.
And you can use them both together. So if you've got the, sorry, I wasn't listening, which is the hard one, the green one.
Yeah, yes, green one.
And then can you put blue on top of that to get detail?
I suppose you can do, yeah. You can put them together. That's how far I go.
It's not very spherical, is it?
I was getting there slowly.
I think I've got another idea.
I should have started a bit smaller.
Perhaps. But the problem is the doming punches only go so far. They're only half spherical.
They're not even half spherical.
No. I think you're better off having something raised.
Yes, spun.
Spun, that's what I meant,
yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
We know a spinner.
Do we?
Yeah,
cool.
That film we watched the other day.
Oh, good.
So we get a spinner.
So what are we going to do with these?
Anyway, put them on your eyes. Googly eyes, like that.
No, I shouldn't say that. I'm going to get all kinds of silly answers now.
There could be adults so much. I mean, children watching.
Good. Donald says, I have put gas in the torch. Is it safe to send?
No, I would get the gas out. If you are going to send it, push like a cocktail stick or a pencil or a pen into the valve to get all the gas out. Do it outside.
It's a bit of a waste of gas.
It's a bit of a waste of gas, but if you can get a new torch out of it, yes, please do. In fact, while you're on that, I'm going to email Candice now.
Okay, do you want another question while
I
you're waiting?
do, yes please.
Ellen says, thank you for looking into it, not a problem. Didn't know what tickets were, also I wonder where to find the monthly competitions and when you do the next workshop. Sure. So the tickets system, I believe, is on the left of the
top
screen.
bar,
Oh, top, I'm thinking of my login, which is different. So top bar support. So you can open a ticket if you have a question to do with payments or invoicing or anything to do with the ins and outs of your membership. But you can also open a technical ticket. So anything, I don't know, if you've got a project that you've been working on that you've hit a bit of a snag with, or a technique or something that you're just a bit stuck on, you can contact. And Andrew answers all those tickets himself. In fact, you answer most of the tickets, don't you?
Yes.
And it'll either be, we can point you to a film that will help. Yeah. If the film doesn't exist, he will just give you the answer. But obviously, if there's something that's already in the resources that, I mean, very often it's a combination of both, isn't it? It's the advice, yes, and then you can look at X, Y, and Z as well, which will help you. So that's the ticket system.
Yes. Yes. Right. It says, can I send it back for replacement, please? Do. Okay, cool. I've sent it to Candice. Good. Brill. Okay then. Well done, Louise.
Good. Scarlett, you're the best. Aww. I have a question. How do you approach starting a ring with gemstones? I've made simple studs and rings with bezel, but how do you start a ring with gemstones? Do I have to carve the cavities for the stones, or do I leave that till the end and just drill into the metal? I've seen people draw on paper and then cut on metal or wax. Okay, so it really depends upon how you want to construct the ring. If you're constructing it from wax and you're having that cast, I would try and use a drill or a burr to at least cut some of the wax away where the stones are going to go. So if you're making, say, a ring, I know this is nothing like a ring. Where's Bowie 2? Here we go. There we go. So say this was the top of the ring, okay? And that's going to go on your finger like that. And you want to put some stones in the top of here, for argument's sake. Okay, and you're going to get that cast. The least amount of wax you've got, the lighter the casting is going to be. So for instance, if it was like this, and that's going to go on top of a ring, okay? And you want to set some stones in here, and say you want to set one stone, a big 6-carat diamond, for argument's sake, okay? So obviously a stone has depth. What I would do, I would perhaps drill all the way through. So you're removing all this wax straight away. So when you come to set the stone, you've only just then got to cut a small little bit of metal away like that for your stone to sit in. Okay, does that make sense? So I'm drilling away the wax, because if you had all of that shape cast in metal, and then you're going to drill away all that shape for the stone to sit in the top, that's an awful lot of waste of metal that you've paid for. But if you can remove the wax before it gets cast, or remove some of the wax before it gets cast, the lighter the casting is going to be, the cheaper it is for you, and you're not going to waste money. So that's basically what I would do. And then perhaps if you were making a bomb ring, which is like I say a ring shape, and it's slightly higher on the top like this, and you want to set some stones into it like that, again I would drill, and say that's metal. Again, I would drill holes, perhaps tapered holes through the metal, and then you would set the stones afterwards and do it that way. To me, that's going to be the best way of doing it. So I would construct the ring if it was a solid ring like that, and then once it's been constructed, then I would drill the holes, then I would finish it, polish it, set the stones. If you were making a ring and there were settings, you're going to add settings, and you're going to add, for argument's sake, a tube, and you're going to attach that onto a ring shank. Yep, going around like this. Construct it all, put that into place, solder the setting on as well. That would go like that, and then as it's a tube, you then would set the stone into it. So remove as much metal as you can, then set the stone, especially if you're doing it in wax. Yes, I think
that answers your question, I do believe. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Janet says, idea for the domes, polished up. I use them on my dressing table for rings or even tea lights. Oh, cool.
Nice idea.
Barbara says, I have lots of files that don't work very efficiently. Oh, I do as well. Is there a way to sharpen them?
There is. Some people will say you've got to use an acid. You put the files in the acid, it etches the surface, removes some of the bluntness or some of the metal from the surface, which will effectively sharpen them because you're removing a little bit of bluntness. So for instance, say, that's the wrong one.
There must come a time when they are just expired.
Yeah. How
do you know when that time comes? I suppose you clean them and they don't...
I suppose in one respect they haven't expired because say a number 2 cut file will not cut like a number 2, but it may cut like a number 4.
Okay.
So it'll get finer. So
right,
that's the way I would look at it, yeah. So if you had a file and say those are the teeth of the file and they've gone really, really soft, really, really rounded. I'm not quite sure what metal it is. It could be nitric acid, but then that would etch away the surface, and it would sort of etch away and effectively sharpen up by removing some of the metal. So it effectively makes the teeth sharp again because it's removed all the surface. So it does sharpen it up a little bit. There's no way though of sharpening it any other way apart from putting it in acids, or if you do find like my file that I've got with these, and there are bits of, let's go on the overhead instead, and they've got little bits, you can see on here, all these little shiny bits are bits of metal that are caught in the teeth. As I said earlier, if you get a piece of metal and you can literally push those out, you can see they're starting to come out now, so they will come out. So effectively you're revealing the teeth, and that will make it slightly sharper again. And also don't do that, don't keep them together like this in a container, because when you take one out you're constantly rubbing one against the other and it's going to blunt them. So always try and keep your files separate on your bench.
Good, okay. Francesco says, dumb question. Nope, there's no dumb questions. Does annealing also make it easier to saw?
I found a sweet. How am I trying to get that sweet in there? It's a Hall's menthol sweet.
It's unwrapped.
I just unwrapped it.
Oh.
Yeah. To be honest, I've never really thought about it.
Because it improves ductility?
Malleability?
Yeah.
And ductility, yeah.
And hardness.
It softens it. So it doesn't.
It removes some of the
hard.
hard. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. It softens the metal. So would it?
I don't think
because you're
it would.
physically cutting it, aren't you?
You are. I don't think it would make much difference.
Because if something happens on a molecular level. Because the thing is, I suppose when you're piercing, so much else comes into play, doesn't it? Like the lubrication on your blade, and the sharpness of your blade, the gauge of your blade. So there's lots of other variables. So it'd be difficult to really.
Yeah, I don't think it will matter.
No.
Personally, myself, I don't think it will, because
the thickness of your metal as well. Also, obviously.
I think the properties of the metal, whether it's hard or soft, are altered, but the physical removal of the metal plays. I think the condition of the metal has no effect upon the physical removal of the metal.
What I would say is if you've softened a metal, it could actually hinder if the metal bends when you're trying to saw it.
That is true.
That could work against you, if anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. Yeah.
So
plenty of lubrication on it, definitely.
One thing I have been meaning to ask is, and this might actually, they are the dumb questions, so I'm just going to ask it, is what I do all the time, and I see lots of other people doing, is anneal something and just put it straight in water to cool it. Is it better to let it cool down slowly? Will it retain some of the properties, the annealing job that I've done, having cooled down because I saw that on YouTube. It wasn't at the bench, sorry, it was something else. It was a guy I watch who does repairs, and I can't remember who he is now, so I would say who he was because it's a really good channel.
Yes.
Sorry, but I'm going to be in trouble later now. But it was, he said, I'm going to leave that now for a minute just to come back to a temperature.
Okay.
And I suppose if you're really busy, you haven't always got time to do that, have you? But what are the benefits of doing that? And does the time that you save by cooling it quickly, is the difference cooling it slowly negligible compared with sitting or doing something else even while that's coming back up to temperature or coming back down to temperature?
So it depends upon the metal.
Okay.
There is no benefit of leaving silver to air cool. There is to put it in water or put it in acid. Obviously the metal has to be not bright red heat, has to be black, so there's no colour on the metal. You can leave it if you want to, or you can quench it.
So there's no
in water or acid. Same with copper. The problem is when you get to something like white gold, because of the alloy in the white gold, it does not respond very well to sudden quenching. It'll
You're shocking
crack,
it, I suppose, aren't you?
It'll crack, and due to the alloys, that is one of the only metals, white metals, say 18 karat white or 9 karat white gold, you should air cool it. Let it cool down slowly, let it cool down naturally. You will be able to work it. The other thing that you guys got to think about is, and a lot of people say it, is that when you have multiple joints on a piece of metal, quenching it straight away into the acid, some people say, affects the joints and the joints become brittle or the joints take up acid. I've never found that. So sometimes if a piece has multiples, don't necessarily put it in acid straight away. I always put things in acid straight away and I get told off because sometimes it's too hot and you see the little vapors come up, and I always try and put it into my safety pickle now cooler so you don't get that shock. All that safety pickle is doing is really removing the oxides. So I don't think there's any advantage of leaving it air cool unless it is of a white metal like 18 karat white or 9 karat white.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a good question though.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
There was a part 2 and I've forgotten what the part 2 to that question was. But yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, you could talk about annealing all day, couldn't you? It's
yeah.
I never realised how important it was and the difference it made till I started melting down metal to roll into sheet or roll into wire to use, recycling my own gold using the rolling mill. And then I realised really quickly how important it is, because I've ended up with just bits which are completely unusable, cracked, and just put the metal under too much strain.
Like those domes that you got there as well, because you're physically forming them and putting them out of shape and stretching them and compressing them. You'll notice that when you work in them, you'll have a sound. You'll be able to hear the metal.
Yeah.
When they're annealed, it's a bit of a dull sound when you're tapping it. But as soon as it starts to get harder, that dull sound will become like slightly higher. A higher note, and it isn't moving. But as soon as you anneal it and start to work it, the note is a lot lower. So you can also hear it as well when you're working on hitting it like that.
Yeah, but when you're rolling it, you just know it's harder.
Yeah.
But you can't over anneal, can you? It's better to do too much annealing than not enough, obviously, because if you don't do enough, it's screwed, isn't it?
And there's it. But then again, if you do too much, it's a waste of time.
It is a waste of time, but I'd rather waste a little bit of time than a whole piece of silver and have to start again.
But then you get to know.
Yeah, I suppose I haven't done it enough times to.
This one is really, really hard. Okay. Yeah. When it comes to anneal it, you put it in through.
I've done it enough to know I made enough mistakes to know how important it is, but I'm not experienced to know exactly what to do every time straight away. But if you're not sure when to, talking about actual annealing, the Sharpie trick is good, isn't it?
people have been saying, I've been reading this recently.
You're going to tell me no now, aren't you?
Yes, because people now are saying that the formula of the latest Sharpies, and you should only use a black one, not a coloured one.
Yeah.
The formula is now different, and you do not get up to the correct temperature. I still see people. I still see people who have been making jewellery for years and years and years use a Sharpie.
Yeah, I mean, I did at the start, but I know. But even if it goes,
but by that time, you should now know that metal colour to anneal it. You shouldn't have to keep putting a Sharpie on it every single time you do it.
Yeah.
But it's a good trick, so you know. But nowadays, the formula of the Sharpies is not as it was, and it does not get up to temperature.
Oh wow, that's interesting. Okay.
Only use a black one if you do.
Yeah.
Not a coloured one, because the obviously they're different inks and they disappear at certain colours.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Okay.
Yes,
cool.
You're welcome.
David says, I've had several technical tickets answered in the past. Brilliant service and advice. Oh, fabulous. That's cool. Thank you. Claire, I've sent you an email with a link for good info on ring splints. Interesting research on them helping pain. Cool.
That's good.
Francesco says, as far as I know, cold rolled steel is harder to saw through than not rolled. Cold rolled steel is harder to saw through than not rolled, but not sure if the same applies to silver.
Okay, interesting. Have to look into that.
Yeah, we'll have a look into that.
We'll ask Charles. He'd be the one to know.
Ask who?
Charles.
Yes.
Charles Litton Brown.
Yeah. Oh, my dad's a metallurgist. He might know.
No, ask him
Yeah,
first.
so he's yeah, he's been a metallurgist all his life, and he's in his 70s. Yes, so he's good. Linda, could you send me the link to? I'm not sure you can post. I don't think you can post email addresses. YouTube won't let you. But if you email me, Linda, I will forward the link on to you.
Yes.
If that's okay. But yeah, please email me, because I will leave here and I might forget. But yeah, I'll happily do that if you want to see the information. What was that?
A pen. You're okay.
Oh, okay. Good. Helena says, would a wire brush clean metal trapped in the file?
Yeah, you can get file brushes, and they are hard steel wire. Yes, you can. Nothing wrong with that. But I've always got a little bit of metal on me. I've got a little bit of spare copper in my desk. As long as you've got a nice flat edge, it'll push out the stubborn bits and pieces rather than a wire.
Brush would be quicker though, wouldn't it?
But you got to buy a brush.
No.
I'm sorry, what's the point of buying a brush when you've got something else on your bench?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right. Fiona says, I've never had a problem with the ticket system. Good. Oh, that's really good. Cool. Yeah, Val uses wire brush. Good. Yeah, I think that would be
good.
Easier. I don't know. I don't clean my files if you do them. Anthony says, I think annealing and dunking applies to ferrous metals, which is why we always see this image of blacksmiths dramatically dunking their metal into water to harden the metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, cool. Sue says, is there a benefit of slowly cooling silver in case of making wire using a rolling mill?
No, I would. The trick with wire is to wrap the wire around into a coil, nice and tight, and when you come to the last, 4 or 5 inches, wrap it around the coil to keep the whole coil together. And you then use a very soft, bushy flame when you come to anneal it. The problem with trying to anneal wire, especially if it's thin, is that it is likely to melt. So if you've got anything that is thin, if you just even wrap it around a pen to make a coil, then wrap the end around and around to hold the coil together, gently warm it, turn it over, warm it, turn it over, warm it, turn it over, warm it, and you anneal it that way. And then you can quench it in the water and then put it into the acid, or vice versa, and put it into the acid if you wanted to when it gets cool enough, just to remove the oxides. But by wrapping it into a coil, you're making a nice mass, an area that the flame will then not melt in individual single strands sticking out. So put it into a coil, you'll get a lot better results. As I said, put it into water or the acid, you gain no benefit from just leaving it to air cool. Yes, Louise.
Okay. Ellen says, what's the safety pickle? I thought pickle and acid was 2 terms for the same thing.
There is. I sometimes use the word acid, but some people will get the wrong idea and say, well, he's got acid and not safety pickle. In theory, a safety pickle is not an acid. Years ago, 10% sulfuric acid. That's why I used to use it in uni. 10% sulfuric acid, 90% water. You always, P-A-W, pour acid into water. If you put water into acid, not safety pickle, but acid, there's a chance that the water and the acid will erupt because of the concentration of the water. By putting acid into water, you can do it successfully. But nowadays, the chance of you can get sulfuric acid from a tool suppliers is extremely rare. You've got to take proof of identification. You've got to have a record of who buys it. So that's why sodium metabisulfate is available now, and it is a safety pickle. Hence the reason why sometimes I'll say acid, 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 and oh, I should say safety pickle because people will think I'm using acid and not a safety pickle. Yes.
Good. Okay.
Good.
Fab. Well, we've caught up the questions.
Hey, we've caught up.
Good.
What's safety pickle? Yes, it's sodium metabisulfate. Yes, and I think it still will eat away at clothes if it's concentrated, because I've got a cloth downstairs that I've had for years and years, and it's basically the centre of the cloth has been eaten, isn't it? And it's just the outside. So yeah, it's still and that needs changing. Look at how blue that is. So that will need changing very soon. And if you want to know how to change it, just put it into something like cat litter, or evaporate it, keep it warm. Put it in the sun so the water evaporates, and then you're left with all the crystals. Then you just scoop out and put it into cat litter and take it to your local refuse centre and get them to dispose of it. So never pour that down the sink. Good. Anything else, Louise?
We've caught up for the minute.
Good, good. I said I've messaged Candice. She has not come back to me as of yet, but I've said that you'll be sending it back to look out. Oh, hang on, she's not there. Thank you for your email. Please re-email Sarah. Okay, I will message Matthew in that case and tell him that you're going to be sending it back. That'll be the best thing. Good.
Good.
The Norwegian terms.
Really learned the Norwegian term and still learning all the English terms. You're doing amazing.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yes. So we need to know numbers. We need to know quantities. We need to know how much things are, don't we?
What do you mean now? In Italian?
In Italian. So if you say quanto costa, how much?
What does that mean? How many coffees?
Not quantity. No, how much?
Quanto costa.
Quantity, cost.
Quanto, what? What are you saying?
Quantity of cost, isn't it? It's how much. Quanto costa. And then we need to know your numbers, 1 to 10, and then 10 to 20, 30, 40.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know. Just reading them off Google.
So that's going to be tonight's homework tonight, because Thursday we're seeing Madame Fadji and she's going to want a conversation with you, Louise. Linda's saying, when is your next workshop? We're going to be doing the Talk Bangles workshop. We haven't got a date yet, but it is going to be in February. We're literally running out of time this month. So February is going to be the time when we're going to be doing our Talk Bangles workshop. And don't forget, if there's anything that you want us to show you, workshop wise, please do get in contact, louise@andrewberry.co.uk. Let us know what you want to see, because basically we'll produce the workshops for you guys.
Barbara says, got to run. Bye, Barbara, but have a fabulous time. Remember, Louise, it doesn't matter how many words you know, but what you do when the locals respond. It's I can tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go. It's going to be like rabbit in the headlights time, isn't it?
Absolutely.
What was it? Piccolo Italiano. I should have sorted this out. Because 6 months
they
ago.
may say Italiano and you go, no. Simple as that.
Claire says, get an app. It was the app that let me down, Claire, last time, and made me look really silly.
It was the actual Google it was the Translate app, isn't it, on here? It's listening from English to Spanish. Hello. but nothing happens.
And the mum says, do you keep a separate set of files for each metal material that you use in order to avoid cross-contamination?
No, not usually. I usually, if you're dealing with silver and gold, I don't. They're the same files. If you are using platinum, it is always wise to have separate files and buff sticks for platinum because of the cross-contamination onto the platinum. So with platinum, yes. Silver and gold, I don't worry about. Copper, we don't often use copper, but perhaps I would use separate files for copper, because what you don't want to do is to have any of the little filings that get caught up in your files going onto your silver, and that would cause a bit of a problem. So copper files, perhaps yes. Silver and gold, no problem. Platinum, yes.
Good. Linda says, suggested a workshop on silver clay.
We'll have to get somebody in on that, if that was the case. I know somebody who's local who could do that.
I was going to say, got someone in mind.
Have you?
Might be thinking of the same person. But I'd like to. I've got some silver clay,
Is she
and I
from
have.
Morganstown?
What's Morganstown?
By Radda. Between Pew's Garden Centre and Radda.
Oh, I didn't know that you knew somebody there.
I do.
No, I would like to learn, because I've got some silver clay, and I did have a little go, but I don't. It was. Yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting. Yeah. Thank you, Linda. That's a good suggestion.
Yes.
The first thing I learned to say in French was to apologise for my French in French. They were always very kind to me then for trying. Janet, you'll find most people now speak English. They do. I think when you're on holiday, I don't know. I really stuck out to somebody who couldn't speak any Italian when we went last time. I can't believe I've let it happen again.
But the thing is,
I'm really spinning out about it, to be honest.
We ended up going to the restaurant that locals go to. That was the thing. It wasn't down the main street. It wasn't somewhere where the tourists go.
The food was good. The food was great.
Absolutely. And we went down the side street, and it was it's in a 17th century building. It's an amazing place, amazing food, but they are all locals. And I think there are only 2 people who spoke English.
And they saw us coming in, and they went and got them, didn't they? Bless them, yeah.
Well, they were towards the end, the guy with the braces.
With the braces,
around,
and the lady with the curly hair.
Yeah.
They'd go and get them for us, wouldn't they?
But yes, we understand where you're coming from, yes. Yes, Libby, anything else before we go?
Yes. How to make a burnisher for flush setting. How to make a burnisher for flush setting.
Okay, the easiest way to do that is to get an old burr. Snap off the end. So say you've got a ball burr. It does this, yep. And there's your thread up on there, and it's worn down, or any sort of burr. Snap it off. Remove that. So all you're left with is that. Then what you can do is get a grinding wheel. We sell grinding wheels on our store, atthebench.store. You would grind that down to a little bit of a finer tip, like that. Make sure the end is slightly rounded. Once you've done that, you can then use, because if you use a burr, the metal is hard already, so you don't need to harden it. And then just simply put the burr in perhaps a pin vise, so you can spin the burr against a grinding tool. So you've got your, here's your grinding tool. Here then is going to be your burr on this side like this. And you would then grind the tip down. This is rotating. You would spin this as well. As that is rotating, looks like a hedgehog. And then grind, and then just spin it, grind it down. Make sure the end is slightly rounded. You can use your emery paper, or you can use some Ceragloss or dia blades, which are rubber wheels that you use for sharpening gravers, just to make sure you get a nice smooth end to the burr. Easiest thing to do. Then what you do then is hammer that into a mushroom wooden handle or a round ball handle, or an old golf ball, which I've got dumps of, and you do that, and then you make sure that the end is smooth. You've got to make sure that this area here is highly polished. If there's any marks within the metal on that section there, it's going to mark the metal. So always make sure that is polished. That's why we always spin this whilst we're polishing it all up. You can then use perhaps some Tripoli if you wanted to get a bit of a shine on it. And that would be nice and simple, and how you'd make a nice fine mini burnisher. We also sell them in the store as well, though we don't use old burrs, we use some mild steel, which is fine. You don't necessarily need to harden the mild steel. Just simply spin it on a wheel, nice gradual point, rounded tip, so it doesn't stick in your finger, it doesn't scag your skin. Polish it up, you can use it to do your flush setting. Please, shall we go?
Yes. Yeah, just quickly, Ellen watched one really old video on At the Bench yesterday about Makume Gane. Yeah. It was a bit blurry, but I think I understood. I think that's one of the very, because some of them are like 15 years old, aren't they? So the technology then was very different. Yes. Did you do it with sterling or fine silver?
We did it with sterling silver. You can do it with fine silver, but the idea with sterling silver, you've got to make sure that the top, the outer area where you're going to be putting the gold foil is fine. So that's the reason why we heat it up, we quench it, heat it up, we quench it, heat it up and quench. You quench it in the acid now, not in water. Safety pickle. Heat up, quench in the safety pickle. That then will remove a very thin layer of copper from the surface, because obviously sterling silver is a mixture of silver and copper. Once you've done that about 8 to 10 times, you've removed enough copper off that surface to make a very fine layer of fine silver. Then it is the chemical and molecular reaction between the fine gold and the fine silver at the right temperature, and it'll molecularly bond itself. Doesn't work with sterling. Or if you had fine silver, you could use fine silver straight away, and you can still bond the two together.
Okay, last one.
Good. Oh, wrong one. You're there.
Silver cube. I received some old files rusted. How do I clean them? Used the white wine vinegar bath, but did not do much.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get much success out of them, to be honest. They're rusted. They're not going to have the same effect. I wouldn't. I must admit, files are expensive. We sell the ring files, they're like £20–30. It is expensive for a file, but they will last you several years. And if you think about, if it costs you £30, it lasts you 3 years. That's £10 a year, which is about £1 a month, if that. So I think they're good value, to be honest. So I wouldn't try and reuse old files. I don't think the finish is going to be acceptable for what you require. And perhaps if you use a file, it may add deeper gouge marks than what the regular file teeth would add, because perhaps there's rust and so forth. I wouldn't risk it personally. Wouldn't do it. Wouldn't do it.
Okay.
Good.
If nothing else, language learning or just trying is good for the brain. Being understood is a bonus. Yeah, that's true. And I've got 2 days. So I'm concentrating on my GIA tomorrow, but in between that, I'm going to be on Babbel.
Buongiorno.
And I'll see how far I get.
Come sta? Bene, grazie.
Grazie.
But you know what I have found? If you say it in the same way that people say it in Italy. So if you go buongiorno, they know.
That's why saying it like, well, they're going to know anyway, aren't they?
But if you say it in the same way that they say it...
They might think you're trying to be funny.
But no, they won't, because they will think, oh my gosh, this person obviously says like, hola, and they go, oh, they know.
And then they start speaking Spanish to you, and you go, oh my God, I can't speak no Spanish.
Yeah. So yeah, you can sound too much like a local, and they'll start.
The bit I'm getting really stuck on at the moment. This is where I gave up. Not give up, but I paused it yesterday. How far did I get? Oh, continue your streak. Oh, okay. It was. Where's my learning plan? Here we are. The difference between. Hang on. Come ti chiami. Right.
Okay.
That was fine. It was, where did I struggle? This is where. It's not taking the mick and it works. There was something yesterday I got really stuck on. Was it here? It was stuff you've got to learn from heart, off heart. 2 is you, I know that. Oh, it's trying to speak to me now as well. It was something to do with how you say who you are or ask who somebody is, and it's different depending on...
know them, or it's formal or informal.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I know that. Sorry. So, no, it was something I can't find it now, but it's something I've just got to remember, and this is my problem, is remembering. I think if I'm doing, it's like even like the magnetic polisher. I never call it. I just call it the whoosher because it's something else I got to remember. This is where languages are just going to be. I reckon I'm better off miming. I think I'll have more success.
Do you know what? I just thought of a great app. There ought to be Spanish for jewelers, Italian for
How's
jewelers.
How's that going to help you in the restaurant, though?
Oh, that's true, yeah. But it'd be ideal in a trade show.
You could order a rolling mill. You might get. I don't know. You might get a pasta machine.
Pasta machine, yeah.
Get lasagna.
Yeah, Spanish for jewelers. I don't know, actually. Yeah. It came to me, but I understand. It's
bit niche.
It's flawed straight away, isn't it?
You'd be all right in the show. You go out.
Yeah, not the faintest idea.
You'd end up with God knows what for your breakfast, wouldn't you?
Oh, bless.
Yeah. We'll muddle through.
Yes. Linda, I have a house in Spain and I've spoken Spanish for years. Or Spanish.
Earlier in the year, we actually inquired about Spanish, Italian lessons, didn't we? Because I thought if we go to a class once a week, we can do it together, we can go and speak to each other and practice what we've learned, and that's going to be the best way over a 6-month period, not over 2 blooming days now at the end.
It's a bit late, isn't it?
Oh, I know. But I'm still going to try.
You are.
I'm still going to try.
So next Monday, we'll be going live on Instagram and Facebook over the weekend, showing you the show, showing you Durson's booth, any tools, that sort of thing. So Instagram, you'll hear about us, I'm sure, and on Facebook, you'll hear about us as well. And perhaps, can we go on YouTube at the same time? Don't know, we're going to have a look and see what we can do.
We'd have to have 2 devices.
Yes, I think we'll do YouTube, and you'll be notified when we go live from the show. We're not going to be able to, I would not have thought we're going to be able to do an awful lot from the fine jewellery halls, because that's a bit dodgy. I don't want to get arrested again. Well, I didn't get arrested, I just got told off.
When was this?
In the XL.
You just got a stern telling off. You didn't get arrested. And it was live as well. Didn't you guys see that? That was, it wasn't funny, but it was basically you got stopped by somebody, a security guard, and you said, point the camera at the floor. And I just was saying, stop the film, Andrew, it's live. And people were like, oh, can I see this? Can I see that? And he was like, stop filming. And he was like, I'm not filming. And yeah, it was absolutely mortifying. I said, remove it. Got absolutely told off live on our own YouTube channel.
All right, as I said, we'll see you all over the weekend, live from Vicenza and T Gold. We'll show you some of the tools. So the tools halls, we're seeing the people at Bedeca, we're seeing the people at Birch, we're meeting with Max from Eve Polishes, Durson stand, Lampert as well. There's a few new items that Lampert are releasing at this show as well. So we'll be doing a live with Lee Mulseed from Lampert as well. New Lampert machine, and we'll show you exactly what's going on. I am freezing cold, and I'm going to go. We're going to go, and we'll see you all very soon. So catch us over the weekend on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. If you're in Vicenza, please message us and do come and see us on the Durson tool stand. But in the meantime, Louise, say goodbye.
Ciao.
Ciao, everybody.